Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio. We are once again joined by a recurring guest. He's been here many times before. He's the cryptid doomsday machine from down in the Navajo Nation, Mr. Randy Caveman Yazzie. Welcome back to the show, buddy.
What's going on, Duke?
Yeah, we got some cold, rainy, miserable weather here today. It's only in the mid-50s, which for the beginning of June kind of sucks. You guys are getting roasted. So
yeah,
we could do a weather trade. I'd do it. I'd send you all the cold and take all that heat down there today. I'd much rather have that. It's been just miserable and wet and cold here today.
Yeah, it's so hot that, the northern mountains, they're kind of catching on fire.
I thought you were going to say they're melting.
Yeah. Kind of look twice at it.
That's the problem here. If we get a lot of rain in the spring, then all the grass grows tall, and then it doesn't rain for 2 months, and it starts on fire and burns the state down. It'd be better for us if it wasn't raining. So, hey, somebody told me that you had a Bigfoot handprint recently. You want to tell us about that?
Oh yeah. I posted that on Facebook on my group page, and
what's your group page name? Pre-plug time here.
It's called Husteen Zikli. It's
And how do you spell that for us English speakers that have no idea how to spell that?
So it'll be HASTINZILTLOI.
And I have it up on the screen right now so you guys can see it as well as hearing it and having it spelled out for you. Really good, great group. Caveman covers everything that's going on down around his area, and he's got a lot of the other locals down there that are on the group that chime in and post stuff that they have happening and whatnot. So it's active. It's a really fun group. I encourage you guys to go there. Try to encourage him to set up another one on MeWe, but we'll see where that goes. But so yeah, you had a Bigfoot handprint on your vehicle. When did this happen?
Yeah, it's like a handprint and a forearm.
Oh, geez, you got part of the arm too?
Yeah, and I was surprised on it. They come in from how when you park your vehicle towards the light of your house, and the back end, fortunately, will be like the dark area, and that's how that's where the handprint and the arm print is at.
Sneaking up in the dark, and find the only dark spot to sneak up. Yep.
Yeah, they'll come in and then they'll even sneak in from the shadow of a light, a street light pole, and they'll sneak in from there.
Was he leaning on the far side of your vehicle looking at the house? Is that what was going on?
That's, well, I put it at an angle. I put both vehicles at an angle in here. Either one, on one side it had, it's like the finger, kind of like, how you push with the outside of your fingers. And if it's in like a curl position. And it had that on the gas tank. The mark is right there, and then also the handprint is on the car. And it was sitting, kind of just making its way around in the dark back there.
Do you think he just basically touched it when he was going past, sort of thing?
Yeah, that's just like trying to stabilize itself as it's going by or creeping up real slow, just to stabilize, just for stabilization. That's just how it is.
You must be really entertaining.
And so
Go ahead.
I put my when I saw it, I was like, whoa, check this out. So I put my hand right next to it. My hand is on the right side. That's my hand that's, that's on there that compared to it. and I had to really stretch my hand out just to kind of make it the same way as the same size as theirs, and that's my hand, and it shows, if a person has been out there in the dirt and always been in dirt, and the whole print is like dirt on the Bigfoot print. But my hand is, just right there, just and it's dark, from all the sweat underneath my hand. So, it's I made it, like I said, I really stretched out my fingers just to get the whole size to it. So that was one good thing that I seen. They said, "Oh, you guys are back," I said, because they had gone all the way, I would say, up into the mountains and all the way down south. Kind of like the snowbirds do when when it gets cold up north, and then they go down south. That's what I noticed, because they were missing for some time, and that's what I found out. And I was like, oh, you guys are back. And then you start hearing the tapping in the window, like, hey, are you still there? They're probably saying that too. We're back.
Yeah. And then you take the exasperated picture of yourself in the kitchen with the booger looking in the window at you again.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
if they were gone for a while, then you probably didn't have much of anything happening around the area with the neighbors or anything then.
Oh, I got some sleep, tell you what. I got some sleep.
Yeah.
And I was out there, and then about maybe a month ago, that's when they started seeing it. And they were saying, oh, we started hearing them yells and screeches. And then I had my last conference, which I brought in, the local people, the ones that do their research and investigations down here. And that's what they started telling us. Hey, they're back. And we've been hearing all of this. And then that's west of where I live, where all the, the college is, and all of that's called the place is called Shiprock, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And within there, they started hearing it. And then pretty soon my mom started saying, hey, there's somebody always walking around at night around here, she says.
Yeah.
And she always jokes about her roof. When my roof leaks, then I always think about Bigfoot, she says. He's so tall, he could be of use. He could fix my roof, she says. Kind of like for a joke, as a joke. I mean,
I got a picture of Bigfoot out there with a carpenter's belt on, and some new shingles on the roof.
Yeah.
You missed that spot. Get that one.
And then the reason why I found out when I asked her, I said, why you say these things? She says, first thing, when you want somebody to fix your roof, they will say yes, but then they say, do you have a ladder? She says, and then we start looking for a ladder rather than fixing the roof. So if Bigfoot's that tall, then it's you don't have to look for no ladder. She says, she kind of has a sense of humor.
Good humor. Yeah. Big man don't want the Bigfoot don't want to do that kind of work though. That's why he stays away from us. So we won't put him to work.
Yeah. There's at times it has slapped her house. That's why she says, I know they can hit. She says, so if you give them a hammer, I bet you can put in all of that. Oh, my mom's dream, So that's how it is. But soon after they said that they had come back, hearing all the yells, it started going up east, and people started hearing all the way up to where Brenda lives and some other investigators that live in Farmington, which is to the east about 26 miles, I think it was, to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
And from where I'm at, and they started hearing it. And those things, they go into the city without them guys knowing. You know, they've been seen in the city, you know, at the swimming pool and looking in and all of that.
Sneaking and peeking.
They can see. What you say?
It says sneaking and peeking. That's what they're good at.
That's what they do a lot. But for me, you know, over here, they rearranged my my area. I haven't really shown what they do to my corral, but you know, lately I posted actually two that makes you know, verifies the things that when they're coming around. One is my corral to the fence, and I started looking into it and filming it, like how, you know, for what reason is my fence like this, and it started to come to find out that it's going for the water that's real near the fence, and it's taking
ready water supply. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's putting its arm, because maybe its arm is you know, the fat, you know, its forearm, so it has to take apart the fence and kind of like pull them apart or take off certain parts and all of that, and put its hand through it. And that's what I noticed, and I just, you know, filmed that one. And also another indicator that, you know, they always come around is the pottery, the Anasazi pottery. And I posted those two on Facebook. You know, they don't know that Anasazi pottery or any kind of Anasazi artifact is like a bad omen to the Navajo. So, you know, I leave them way back there, you know, where they put them, or, you know, I just don't leave them. I just don't bother them. I tell the archaeologists down in Shiprock, you know, there's some more that's being brought in, and that's one thing that they had a meeting on. Somebody's been stealing a whole bunch of pottery, and I just had to say too, within all those scientists and all those archaeologists that were talking about it, that somebody was, you know, stealing them illegally, and that, you know, it's not really being stolen. Also, is that the factor there is I have him in the back of my house. It's a bad omen to me, so don't think that, you know, I'm digging these things up and bringing it to my house. I have nothing to do with it. So,
what, the Bigfooter leaving these pieces of Anasazi pottery there?
Yeah, I posted that one too.
Well,
and also
pictures
like
video, all those pictures and video along with, so we can include for everybody to see it.
Yeah, all that with like 8-inch cobble rocks that they have piled up also right near me. It's like, hey, you know, some people, they would say that, you know, that's an indication of like a landmark or something like that. And so I took it apart on the cobble rocks, but I'm not going to bother the artifact or the pottery. And here I took away, kind of like just dismantled their little mound. And, you know, people started saying, you know, the people have their own research going. You know, they have their own investigations, which they come to their own conclusions.
Right.
But for the ones around, the ones that visit me, when they do that, I dismantle it to show them that, you know, I don't allow things like that there. Yeah. And I leave. And people have said that, oh, you know, they're gifting you. Maybe they want your goats. I said, well, you know, and that make the hot team keep on thinking they want goats. So it's not accepted in that sense. So, you know, it's like that. So
do you think that's what's going on? Do you think they're trying to gift you or trade you with those pottery pieces?
The way that I would think about that is, they're witching me. You know, like people talk about infrasound and all that. We call that also witchcraft. So we look at it like that. And it takes you out of your good sense, positive energy, and puts you in a bad mood. In that sense, you know, it's you know, considered a witchy poo thing. And so I reject that. I let it known, you know, on there that it's rejected. And also,
there's a parallel there in Scandinavian folklore, especially the Swedish folklore, where they talk about trolls. And for them, a troll means anything that's like a cryptid, basically. They're using the same word, troll, basically, means cryptid to them. But the other interesting thing is they also have the word trolldom, which is, you know, like medieval equivalent would be a kingdom. It's a trolldom. Trolldom literally means witchcraft.
I didn't know that.
They have the same notion about trolls over there, that there's something, they're connected to supernatural and maybe not good supernatural.
Yep. So, you know, I take other people's investigations into consideration when I'm thinking about it, but I have, you know, my own, you know, the traditional Navajo perspective that you know, I look at things from. You know, I'll take into account what the person says. I'm not going to argue about it. I'm not going to say, oh, you know, this is wrong and this is and all of that. But, you know, I'll let the person know, you know, what I think, what my perspective is. And usually, you know, what I'm thinking is correct. Because somebody has seen them. Somebody has interacted with them way before I did also. You know, why would they talk about things like this? Why would they say, hey, you know, these things are like this? So in that sense, you know, it's, you know, I look at it, you know, as research.
Yep.
Somebody has already been there, done that.
Yep.
And it's
you're
like
just
that.
You're a link in the chain. You're not the beginning of the whole thing. But, you know,
exactly.
You've got a big leg up on a lot of people, because you've not only got your cultural traditions about it, which are going to give you some really good information, but you've been actually dealing with these things for years, regularly.
Years.
You know,
millennia.
So you've got your first-hand experience, and you've got all the folklore and the traditions from your tribe to give you more information on them. So using that for a basis, it doesn't make any, you know, wouldn't surprise me at all that you would tend to be right most of the time in your guesses on what they're probably up to, because you got the good giant pile of background information to sift through and compare it to what's going on and try and make a call on it. And I think that would give you a better chance of being accurate most of the time than, you know, other people that aren't dealing with them all the time and don't have that kind of a tradition in their culture that's got more information on it.
Yeah. You know, to put it this way, I've like I have told you in past interviews, you know, I've ran with them. I've got scared of them, and then I got used to them. But then they always still freak me out. They always still startle me. And there's at times that, like, we used to go out, I mean, sleep out in the shade house. It's just, you know, shade arbor house, which is covered by leaves.
We talked about the shade house the last time we had you on.
Yeah, and we used to sleep in there. Me and my cousins, my brothers, you know, just good old buddies, you know, sleep in there. This guy would come, you know, late at night, and all of a sudden, you know, start bothering people for no reason. You know, just touching them in the face, and it's not, you know, like it comes around, you know, all growly, Bigfoot or something like that. It'll quietly come inside, and all we had as a door was just a piece of plywood just to slide back and forth. So we didn't think, you know, like that, you know. It's so the only time, what we're told is the only time something would pick you up is if you abuse something, like in nature.
Yeah.
So we weren't doing that. We're minding our own business, and we go to sleep, and here we we get bothered by this thing. It just it would always just feel the face, always feel the face and all of that. It's probably just wonder, thinking now, they probably wonder, who is this kid, or maybe face recognition as it's sitting there looking at us, or in the line of our beds. People would say, don't bother me. Go on. You drunk man, who are you? Go on, get out of here. We're going to beat you up. So, these are young kids they're talking. So, teenagers, I think that they own the world, And it will come down the line. Every time they kind of slap their hand or something like that, because that's what we used to do, is slap its hand. And then it'll just finally, when it comes to me, it would always bother my lips, like kind of make that sound.
Yeah.
All of that, and it would just trace your hairline. Also, just trace it. Just wondering like that.
That's what makes me curious if they were interested in the fact that you guys don't have facial hair. We do.
Yeah, things like that. That's what I mean. Whatever it's thinking out there when it's doing their stuff, then it makes you wonder. But when you tell an elder the next morning, hey, this happened, somebody came around. We always refer to it as like a transient, like a hobo,
right,
came around, or drunk guy came around and started, putting, feeling up our faces and all of that, and then the elders would say, there's nobody else around. If the drunk man is not around, who else could it be? And they just say, man. That's another thing of saying to say, watch out. It's something else, which they won't really say right off that it's Hustings, it's too, it's Bigfoot, like that. It's just considered as man. So,
man, that's scary. Don't tell me about it anymore. That's what that means.
Exactly. Or to forewarn, to say,
Mm-hmm.
There's something else out there other than the drunk guy. But the way that it's talked about is that the drunk guy will always start to try and steal something from you, like money, or digging through your pants just to try and get some money out of you. Those are the thoughts that are put into all of this to make it come out to, something else. But if it's just bothering your face and you're laying there, just bothering your face, then, it's there. And after they say that, then, of course the boys will be all like, yeah, right, maybe it was, necking out with you. Maybe it was a woman. That's the wish of a Navajo teenager. So,
yeah, what if it's a female Bigfoot and she's looking for a new boyfriend? That's not necessarily something.
So that's what, it's ridicule as to where, you don't really freak out or have PTSD from it.
Right.
It's like that. That's how the teaching goes with it also. So that's one thing that they do. Or just out there, what we used to do also with our, cousins and brothers is, I was telling you, we used to slap the hut to it. If we got a yell or we got a grunt or something like that, we won money. So we did to this. So I bet you, it was curious. It was curious, who are these people that are, keeping me up during the day while I'm asleep?
And why do they always laugh and yell when they get a response out of me?
Yeah.
We're the ones that are supposed to be doing this to them, not them doing it to us.
Yeah. So, like that. And then when we used to go wading in the water, go swimming in the local lake. This is in Arizona side. And there would be one black person that would be sitting way up there on a hill, a cone hill, that, goes into the lake, and whenever we try to sneak up on it, it would take off. And these are the things that were unexplained. Those things, with all of that, you tell an elder, then they would say, "Yee, amen." That's all of that. That's what I mean. It's common. It was common to talk about, but not to really tell, make a conversation about it. It was just, you tell your elder, and then that was it. Yeah, man, though you shouldn't be over there. You shouldn't be by yourself. Why are you guys messing with this thing? What is it? What if it eats you? Things like that. That's where the teaching is. So with that, as a young native growing up, we knew in the stories from there, when they start telling stories during the ceremonies, then this thing, some of them ate people. That's where that thing comes from. Some of them didn't, and it varied in size also. That's like that. So just like the Yazzie. I shouldn't be talking about this during the summer, but the Yazzie would be or is looked at as like the tallest, biggest giant.
So this now, before we go any further with this, just so people get a clear idea here, we're not actually talking about a Bigfoot.
Yes.
Yazzie is a giant.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, this one is a giant. This is not something that goes woo woo or just yells or anything. This giant came around and started having people for lunch, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and it came around for that, and it gave, more or less, it kept the population in check of all these natives, the Southwest natives that are here, and each one of them, they have their own legends of Yazzie, and that's from there. They're all. That's what I mean. They vary in size, but this one was the ultimate. The biggest giant that was there that came around, and people used to hate it. And it was finally
because he was eating people. That's a good reason to hate him.
Yeah. Very obvious, huh?
Yeah, you don't generally love somebody that comes right in your neighborhood and eats your neighbor all the time. Unless you got a really lousy neighbor. Then maybe it's a good thing, but probably it isn't.
Nowadays it would be like, oh, go eat that guy, I don't want him coming too close to me.
Yeah, go eat that neighbor over there. He's really a jerk. Nobody will miss him.
Go eat him.
Go eat him.
Yeah, so they finally put him down, like these other various tribes, they have their own legends of how they did it. So, which goes to show that the ones that were around here on our reservation, it talks about only one, and they lived somewhere. If you think about it, somewhere they probably came from South America or Alaska or something like that, and they started traveling around. But they came out and they were, cannibals. But people respected the giant because it was also, considered like a disciplinarian, just like I said, our elders would say, why would you be out there by yourself? Something could get you among the cougars, the bears, and all of that. There's also, something else.
Yeah.
So
interestingly, this kind of makes me think about mountain giants, because what Kat talked about, the mountain giant that she had the encounter with, which she got out of the Bigfoot clan, is that's sort of the district manager. That they're sort of in charge of all the Bigfoot clans in their area, and if they start warring with each other to get too far out of line, they'll friggin' eat them too. So it's kind of like the same kind of behavior, except he extended it to the local humans as well. And you guys, with your legend, you talked about him living up in where? The mountains.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. And then that's one good point that you brought up. One of my good friends, he asked, why does the Bigfoot always hide? What is it hiding from?
Mm-hmm.
So, you see them and then they look at you. Why is it? They know that we're smaller.
Yeah.
They know that we're weaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the advantage.
Yeah.
But why are they hiding? So, after talking, listening to, like, you brought up giants. Yeah, and you and Wes, I heard you guys talking about it, and I was like, yeah. These Bigfoot were probably also on the menu.
Yeah.
That could be a reason why. So this Yates was a mountain giant, and it came around. It ate people, and the ones that were out there by themselves, or the ones that were just out there. In a way, a lot of the native culture teaching is kind of like leave the weak and let the strong survive.
Right.
And it was not dog eat dog world, but there's you just have to go so far with a person when they're into ailing from something like that. But if something takes them also out there, like a grizzly, and then they say that there's a hiker that's missing that they later found out that the grizzly had eaten on. And it kind of makes you wonder also, why was that hiker out there by himself or herself?
Yeah.
Things like that. That's how the teaching goes. And that was how Yates told us.
Cultural anthropologists would say that it was a boogeyman, that they had invented this legend to keep kids from wandering too far from the campfire or the house, and also to keep people from being stupid and going out in the woods by themselves, or out in the wilderness by themselves. Because let's face it, there's other things that can happen to you if you're by yourself. You twist your ankle, you can't get back. You fall in a hole, you can't get out of it. Local animal attacks you, you get mauled so bad you can't get back. And they're going to say, well, it's just an easier way for them to say there's a big giant out here that'll eat you. But I'm going to flip it on its head and say, no, there was a big giant out there that was eating people, and that's where this whole tradition came from. And they went, well, it's kind of smart to not do this anyway, even if the big giant isn't around. You probably shouldn't be out there by yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. That's how the teaching goes. And within that, that alongside it, there's like an offset to it, to all of this, the teaching of the twins, the hero twins, they call them, Monster Slayer and Child Born of the Waters. Their dad was also the son as much as Yates, so it was also the son of the son. Like that. That's how they, that's how the legend goes. And so when the hero twins wanted the weapons to kill Yates, so the son told them that you be killing your own sibling, half sibling.
Yeah.
So they're my kids. So he says, oh, okay, Yates. So the son says, oh, he challenged me too. So, if you take off its head, I want that as a trophy for me.
Cool.
You can take all the other parts and then all of that. So that's how the teaching goes on that side. And
so
all the legends.
The teaching. So this is the Navajo version of the whole story of what happened to him.
Yeah.
So the hero twins are the ones that wiped him out.
The what?
The hero twins are the ones that ended up wiping him out.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Okay.
There's all different kinds of them. There was all different kind of giants. There was all different kind of monsters that were wiped out because of that. So within that, it kind of makes you think here and there. If you jump around here and there, that why would why is the sun involved? Why was there lightning arrows? Stuff like that. It kind of makes a person wonder. It made me wonder.
Lightning
yeah,
arrows?
Lightning arrows. Huh?
That sounds kind of more like a Buck Rogers death ray. It's like an actual
Exactly. Yes. So they go back and it goes back and forth, and finally it was killed. The thing about it is how Yates used to kill was it'll challenge you just straight on, and then just hit you, bludgeon you with whatever rock or tree that it pulled up, and just did away with you, and you'd be laying out there like you stepped on a lizard, with the intestines hanging out. So
here's
how
a good sign. Yeah, the people would know if they found a corpse out in the wilderness. It didn't get killed by a grizzly or mountain lion or something. It got squashed by Yates.
Exactly. Yes, that's those are the differences in the in the teaching of the Navajo. If something was part eaten, then you already know that it was an animal.
Right.
But if a person is just laying there with their intestines hanging out, or just dead, or some kind of smashed anatomy, or a head or skull or something like that, it's something else did it. So, maybe just the arms pulled out or something like that.
You want to hear something really scary? I'll tell you a scary story here. One of my friends here locally was out in the spring looking for mushrooms, the yum spring mushrooms, and he had wandered off of the state land onto somebody's private property and didn't realize it because it wasn't posted. And he went by this little cave, and there was just this terrible stank coming out of this cave. And this is one of my friends that's been out squatching with me before, so he's got, more curiosity than good sense. So even though he's out there by himself, he goes into the cave to check out what's making the smell. And, at this point, I can't remember which one it was, but there's 3 corpses in there. It was either 2 mountain lions and a wolf, or it was 2 wolves and a mountain lion. They were all squashed flat, not eaten, no signs of them having any weapon marks on them from being stabbed or shot or anything. And they were laying in a little pile.
Yep.
What the hell does that?
Yeah.
We got one of his relatives living up here, Caveman. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Somebody else way back has already made contact like that. They've seen people do that. They've seen it, and they've seen how it kills and what it does also. And this mountain giant, nowadays you would call it a mountain giant.
Yep.
And here, it would come around, and finally when they got killed, there's a lot of ceremonial trophies that came out of there. All the same, even yelling out, if you keep bothering me, I'm going to boil you on the ground like this. That's what it used to say.
Oh, God.
The legend. So
I'm going to boil you underground and eat you.
And eat you, something like that. Maybe one of our brother Pacific Islanders would understand to say that. But, hearing that out here in the desert, it's something different, and it's like that, maybe terror tactics or whatever. But that's how somebody has seen it. Somebody has killed.
Yeah.
Killed in front of them.
I'm sure if you go far enough back and talk to the elders about the legends and all the different tribes, almost all of them have legends about giants, and they all sort of describe them the same way. They're all nasty-tempered and didn't like people and would eat us. And there were some smaller ones that ended up apparently joining some of the tribes and inbreeding with them, but they didn't like the bigger ones either. So they're kind of like mainly joining the tribe to get away from their even more obnoxious relatives and siding with the humans against them, basically. And some of the tribes on the East Coast had some really really unusually tall men, like 7 foot or better in their tribe. And that's where some of these bloodlines may have come from, is some of these smaller giants saying, the hell with you guys, I don't want to deal with you anymore. I'm going to join the humans. They're nicer and easier to get along with. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder now, after the Hero twins disposed of Yeatso there, he was the big giant. He was the one. Was there any littler giants still left around there?
Those are that's where the first exile came. After that, the first exile of all of these nasty people.
They got chased north, right?
Yeah, to the north. The thing about it is the way the legends and the ceremonial songs go is that it came from, that all the exiled people was taken through the trees that stuck up into the sky. And these trees are gigantic trees. That's the way it was told, right? Mm-hmm. And then from there on, going to where there is just in the darkness, but where the white gleams out and the water is frozen up towards the north.
Yeah, so that's the way north.
That's way north. That's in Alaska somewhere.
Yeah.
And from there on, there's mountains that are all covered and just frozen. It's a different world out there. That's the way it goes. From there, they were going to have these nasty, bad people perish into the water that they have found, where the land meets the water, is what the legend says, or the song. And they were going to perish there, have these nasty people perish there. And they found another land that was floating within, miles of it. So these people, these nasty people, went to where that floating land was, and then just started to occupy that. So the people that were chasing these people said, no, we don't want you guys alive. So then that's how they chased them into the water from that floating land, and then from there on, going into, they saw land on the other side again, so they went that way. And then from there on, you go all the way into that other land, which finally kind of like gets more softens up from the white, which the water is frozen. That's the way it was told. So from there on, there's other people. There's other people that have escaped from there. They said, "Oh, I'm not going to be around here," and then they escaped to, sideways towards the west. This was, way up there, and then from there on, who they were going to bring down all the way down to. They started bringing people, and then people just moving off, saying, I can't go no more, or whatever. And people started moving off. But they say that the most intelligent ones were left out in the desert to perish, and the most aggressive ones were herded on to way on the other side, further down more. And then as they came back up, these people that were chasing or making sure that these people perish, as they were coming back up, they noticed that these intelligent people had dug up water. They started building, and then from there on, they started going back all the way up. And so some band was told, guard the entrance right here to that land on that side. And a lot of the people started to go that way, but the people that were protecting the entrance into the motherland. You know, everybody else will say, oh, you know, we're the oldest people. But from that time on, everything, you know, the people crossed back and came back over here. That's how the legends go and how the songs go, and that's how you bring the good person back. In a way, it's a blessing way song. So you strip him down over there on that side and bring him back pure. So then I started to look into it. Yeah, there's the redwoods. I can understand that. And then there's Alaska. But I did not know that there was either they'd be talking about the Aleutian Islands or they'd be talking about there's an island between Russia and the United States. I didn't know about these things.
Yeah, the Aleutian Island chain stretches almost all the way over to Siberia. You could easily island hop from one to the other and end up over there.
Exactly.
The other thing I'm thinking is, you know, Nahanni Valley, the Valley of Headless Men, that happens to be way straight north from where you're at, Northwest Territories.
Yeah.
People can't live there. You're not allowed to backpack around there. You can, like canoe through it. That's it. And it's got a really bad reputation. Lots of people disappeared and corpses were found with no heads. And then the other thing that you mentioned, the floating land. You know, as far as we know, there is no such thing as floating land. But if you're up in Alaska, there's something that looks like floating land. That's ice pack.
Yeah. Ice pack. I didn't know that there was a military outpost that's way between. I think that's on the Aleutian Island, and that's where they had tried to gather. That's why I'm saying, you know, the way as the legend goes, you know, these people that were bad were herded out and they tried to survive there, but they were, you know, on that other land, put on the other land. So it's, you know, like I said, I always, you know, don't try and say, oh, you know, I'm right. But I learning the song and hearing the legends and hearing all of this, you know, looking at the Haas team, you know, it's like that. Some of these, you know, like I said, have run off here and there, all of that, and made their way, you know, to other parts. And of course, you know, if you start to try to survive while somebody's after you, you're going to move way on the other side. If you know, meaning like try and be out of the way. That could make you hide also.
Well, and it sounds like these guys weren't willing to take like any half measures or anything either. It was, we're going to chase them so far out of this territory, they're never going to come back again. We're going to kill them all, as many as we can on the way. And we're not going to stop until they're gone for good. You know, it wasn't like they were going to chase them 20 miles and be, that's good enough. They decided to completely get rid of them once and for all and chase them so far away they'd never come back.
Yeah. So that's one thing that, you know, how the legends, you know, just the songs go. And then I was thinking, you know, that conflicts with the Bering Strait theory.
Yeah. Or it backs it up. You chased them across the Bering Strait, and then you guys came back again.
Yeah, came back to the whole thing. So,
we chased them nasty giants back over into Russia. We can come back again.
So, you know, it's like that. What they're not saying is take care of, you know, you or us, something else. But then if you look into the DNA and all of that, we all, you know, had the same DNA.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then the scientists say, oh, you know, Africa's the oldest country and all of this. Mm-hmm. That's their theory.
Yeah, that's not everybody's theory either. There's a researcher in Australia that thinks that humans came from there. Australopithecus.
And exactly. Australia thinks that they're from there. That's what I mean. I'm not saying that we're the oldest people on the face of the earth, but, you know, everybody else has their own theories on that. But, you know, like I said, for me, where the conflict is it goes, it's the Bering Strait. It does not even, you know, touch this one. Why do we have a song or legend that says that we went over to chase some people back that way.
Yeah,
Why
exactly. This legend goes way back before there was any science telling us that at one point there was Beringia. It was above water. You could walk across it. That was a long friggin' time ago. And apparently you guys have legends from that long ago. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's things about it. There's monsters out there. There's monsters out there that we can't even explain. And it's just told like there's monsters out there. So it's just.
I just wonder if some of the other proto-humans had actually made it over here, like maybe your Neanderthals or Denisovans or something like that, and they got lumped in with the giants, and when you chased their asses out of here, you got them other guys gone too. And just went, now you're all going.
Yeah. So all that mixing, mixing of the blood has happened. All that, people try to explain it that eventually we have all experienced, as any race or any ethnic group, we have all witnessed way back in time somewhere that there was mixing of the blood. And then, there's all of that's happened. So it was carried down, in their own people's own ways. All of that. With that, once all of this had been done, these things, these hustings, were forgotten about. Mm-hmm. They were the ones that were just somebody that is just scrounging around.
Maybe they just got ignored because they're shy, they're secretive, they don't cause that much trouble most of the time. They're not really the problem. Why chase them away? Let's get rid of the assholes that are actually the problem.
Yeah, the ones that are making
ones that are eating us and making war with us and stealing our women and all that kind of stuff. They got to go.
Yeah, and here that's what how the teaching goes with it from the legend. I'm not going to argue with somebody and say, hey, I'm more right this way. Ours is like this, and then also like that.
Go ahead. I just wanted to throw out a couple of comments on it, but go ahead.
Well, that's why I say, leave it open. Leave my teaching open. Leave the Navajo perspective open as much as the science, and then also leave Russia's point of view open, or Africa's people, or Spaniards and Middle Eastern. Leave it all open. Somewhere along the way, we find out, hey, if we all agree it's like this, none of this debating and all of that, that's not going to go nowhere. That's the way I feel about it. That's why I say, hey, I might not be right or anything like that, but that's what I heard. That's what I have learned. That's how I know of these things. Like, for example, the gambler, who we call the gambler over here was shot overseas towards the east. He was supposed to perish, go live, somewhere you can die, like that. That was the way it was, because he enslaved everybody around. This was afterwards again, and then he enslaved everybody else. And this guy was light complected and kind of silver hair, had a beard, and they shot him overseas. So he made a prediction. He made a prophecy. The prophecy came from there. It says he was a deity, like the way Hercules and all
demigods.
Demigods. That's what he was also, just like Yazzie. So when he was going to get shot over towards the east on that big arrow, he says, when I come back, I'm going to enslave all of you. In fact, I'm going to own the world after that. He says. So a lot of native cultures know of this. That was the reason why people didn't really do anything like the Aztecs and all of that when Spain came on. They were like silver-haired people and all of this. So that's the reason why they didn't really do anything. They thought that there was a deity that had come back. Oh, this guy said this a long time ago. Yeah. So the prophecy made a full circle. That's the way they saw it. That's the reason why there wasn't really no uprising. There was some, but it was just too late.
Yeah.
But afterwards, that's how they welcomed them. Oh, this deity, that's the one that we shot overseas. Oh, and all of that. But sure enough, later on, after the years and all of this has happened. So there's a lot of people that it had gathered along the way and brought it over. That's how it is viewed now. So it's when you look at it, all this different kinds of ethnic groups that live within the Americas. They don't matter if it's South America, the middle, the central, or the north. All of that. There's all different kinds of people that are there. Mm-hmm. So the silver-haired god, demigod, has come back. So it promised, you guys messed with me, so I won't come back and mess with you guys. And that's how it's viewed.
They thought it was payback time.
Yeah, payback time. So we're in the payback time now.
Weird.
That's how it's
well,
viewed.
Just to back you up on a couple things and to kind of yank the carpet out from underneath mainstream science, which you guys know I love to do that. First of all, okay, giants are mythological, right? Let's turn this on its head. You guys, here's your challenge. Find me a culture that doesn't have a legend about giants. Find me one. Anywhere on Earth that doesn't have a legend about giants. Everybody has legends about giants. And the vast majority of the time, they're nasty, they eat people, they're not friendly. They're monsters, essentially.
Yeah.
So, if this is all imaginary, why has everybody got a legend about it? And they're all described the same. And the second thing is, mainstream science likes to say that, civilization sprang from the fertile delta 5,000 years ago, Samaria, blah, 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 and that's as far back as our history goes. Before that, we were living in caves. Okay, idiots. There's this big out-of-place artifact called Göbekli Tepe, which is 12,000 years old. Explain that. And meanwhile, you can cut the crap with all of your civilization is 5,000 years old BS, because we already have evidence that's not true. It's at least twice that old, and you're just ignoring the evidence, which is typically you guys.
Yep. That's what has happened. And
yep. So what I'm saying is I totally agree with you. Everybody should be really open-minded. And, mainstream science has a lot to offer, but they're also incredibly wrong about a lot of stuff, whether on purpose or not. And a lot of the folklore and legends and stuff is starting to line up with stuff that mainstream science is saying. How peculiar. 100 years ago, it was completely different. Now it's getting closer and closer. Gee, I wonder why that is. So it behooves everybody out there to keep an open mind and listen to all sides of the debate and, hold off making your own decision on what you absolutely believe to be fact. And that's what I do, and the more I'm open-minded, at the point where you don't listen to what anybody has to say anymore, you've already decided for yourself that you know what the truth is. And you're absolutely 100% right. If you're not willing to listen to anybody else, then you're not learning anymore. You think you're an expert. And you know what that E word is worth, nothing in my book. So to me, the real scientists, the real researchers, the people that really are the experts are the ones that tell you that they don't know for sure, but here's all the tons of information that I've got. Those are the real guys out there. That's my little piece. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Things like, I started to explore and started asking, but when I was smaller, I never really knew what my paternal grandpa was talking about. My dad's dad.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to do 12 ceremonies. A lot of medicine don't reach that far. But then his uncle, my grandpa's uncle, was doing the same thing too. Yeah, that's the reason why they used to travel back and forth all over, learning from each other. But what he used to say was that the coyote and first man, first woman, that like in the first Navajo, first woman, Navajo, all of these, when they was all the ancient times when we came up from below the earth, the third world, is they made an agreement with the local tribes here that were already there, or already here, and with that they started to live amongst one another. There would be, quarrel here and there, but as they had started to find out who each other was, they were saying that my paternal grandpa used to say, these people, these Hopi people and the Zuni, the Pueblos, they're very ancient. They're very ancient, is what he used to say.
Mm-hmm.
And they themselves did not live here. They came from down south, from like South America. That I always have that problem with the name, like Pikachu or whatever that South American village was. That's way up there, and also the Aztecs and also the Mayans. That's what he used to say. They used to live in real big houses down here. When they came up this way, they had to live according to the conditions up here. And of course, they knew how to do canals also. They brought in water from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And then his example was that if I had an in-law that was a Hopi, he would say, then I would have a peach tree somewhere growing out in the middle of the desert, he would say. I would have peaches. I love peaches, he says. That's what we used to trade, he says, with them a long time ago. He's talking about 1920s or something like that. And when I was a kid, we used to go down to the Hopi villages or the Zuni villages. And we would trade with them, and they would have a lot of fruits that have been dried and been like canning nowadays. They dried them fruit and all of that. I used to love them, he says. And in their legends, it's like that. They're very ancient, he says. And they're with us. As we came in from the east of, where we live now. And that's how we're living. And a truce had been made. But then again, later on in the years, through quarrels and, you taking my wife or whatever, the case, which that is usually the case. That's what he used to say. And women will make wars. That was his point. And people started raiding here and there. And then we started to go against each other. But before, way down below, these people had functioned together. And that's what they said. So all of this, we taught each other. We would bring meat. We would bring meat to from our hunts, and then we would trade them off with the peaches and all of that. That's what he used to say. Well, just like that. And I really didn't think anything of it. I didn't really know what he was talking about. In other words, I wasn't even interested in what he was talking about. I was looking at the Jake Isle band or disco, there and all of that. So I was into that, and all the 70s music, and that's what he used to say when at times when he was just sitting there. He was blind, and he would just sit there and just talk, just talk, and you would listen, and that was it. And from these stories, a lot of it used to, kind of be picked up. There's other people that were learning the ceremonies from him. They have these stories also. So all of this, and that's what he used to say. Every animal that's in every country is made from their people that live in that country will also look like them,
Right.
like the animals, he would say. And then that's the reason why he would always he just called Bigfoot horse face.
Horse
Because
face.
his face is real big, and also kind of like leaning, kind of protruding out, big lips and big nostrils and all of that.
We're talking about the type 3 ones with a snout on them.
And he probably would call that the dog man.
Yeah.
And
hey, I got a question for you here. You talked about you guys came from a little east of where you're at now. Is that when you were underground?
No. This is Governor. It looks like a little anthill.
Interesting
the whole
point there. It looks like an anthill because I've heard from legends of some of the other tribes down there that they also say that they came up from underground. They were underground for a while. And some of the tribes even have specific legends that the ant people were the ones that took them underground. There was going to be a cataclysm. Come live with us for a while. We'll help you and take care of you. And then after that was over, they brought them back to the surface again. And if you look at the stone petroglyphs, carvings of what the ant people supposedly look like, they look a lot like gray aliens.
Yeah.
So do you guys have that legend? Did the ant people help the Navajo, or was it somebody else?
No, it's more or less it was just survival.
Okay.
Coyote. This coyote is like they always say trickster, bad person. No, it's not. Coyote is like a philosopher.
Yeah. He's super clever and wise.
Super clever and wise, yes. But with all of that, how the good, knowledgeable people are. They'll kind of like manipulate other people with that, and that's how he's the one that stole Water Monster's child. So they started to. Water Monster came to the village and said, "Who stole my baby? I want my baby back." And all this time, Coyote had that water baby in tucked away in his own home, and nobody knew anything about it. And Water Monster said, "Oh, well, then okay, you guys are not listening. You guys are the only ones that are living here. So I'm going to make the waters rise. I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to drown all of you." So he started to do that. And with that, they started to go to the, from there, it was kind of like just dark. And that's where the ants, the reptiles, insects were the only ones they did that the Navajo called them as people. And then from there, they went into, they scratched up into the second world, but the water kept rising. So then, they started finding like mammals. That's where the cougars, the bears, and all of that, the ones that walk there, the blue, all different colors that they found. And then from there it was the yellow, or the yellow first, and then the blue. And the blue came around, or during the red area. I'm sorry. And that came about, that's where they found like these two young men, real strong men that said, that were hiding behind rocks. And they told them, come over. They were very strong. You're talking about something like Atlas, in comparison, or Hercules.
Probably like demigods, yeah.
Yeah, so they came up, but the water kept rising. So they had planted a reed, just like Jack and the Beanstalk. They had planted a reed, and that's the one that they climbed on all the way up everybody else. And finally, the cicada was the one that came up into this glittering world. They found it as the glittering world, where all the four colors were with one another. And then also, the glittering world, meaning, there's all different kinds of color.
Yeah.
That they came up upon. The turkey was the last one that came up with, how the water rushes through, maybe through with the foam.
Mm-hmm.
That's what dyed the turkey feathers. That's what we're told. I mean, that's the legend. And that's the reason why you see white on the ends of the turkey feathers. She was the one that brought up all the seeds. She's the one that brought up everything that she could carry, and that's why she wobbles when she walks. That's what they say. So she has everything tucked in. All those, how the feather kind of like has lines. The turkey feathers have lines and all of that.
Yeah.
They say that those are pockets, and that's how many stuff that she brought up with, with after everybody else. So with that, it's revered that turkey as being, like the mother of all like growth, harvest, a good meal, all of that. So it's like that. So things like that. And when we came up into the glittering world, as the Navajos, we came up into the glittering world. That's where we found the Hopis. Hopis, the Pueblos, the Zunis, and they're all different. I said that one time in a sweat lodge. As we were going to sweat lodge with this Hopi, a very traditional Hopi.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says to me, when you think about Pueblos, Hopis, or Zunis, don't think of us as all the same. We don't think of you Navajos as being the same as Apaches. I said, well, yeah, we are. But then we're not, he says. We all came from different places. We're all different people.
Right.
So it would be an insult to call a Hopi man a Pueblo man.
Right.
Or a person of the Southwest, he says. So we're all different, he says. I said, oh, okay, now I understand that. So just don't call me a Hopi man, I said, and joking away back to him. So then we were all teasing, and he says, why? He says, oh, well, because you Hopis are weak. Well, it kind of turned into kind of like a pissing contest for a little while, just because I said that. So, that's the reason why, the people, the lineage of the people, when you call them or talk to them, they will tell you what their clans are. Like for us, I come from, red going into the water, red streak going into the water clan. So if you look at it, what's a white or red streak that will flow into the water?
Blood.
Think about it.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think about is lava.
Lava too, yeah.
So, or blood, or maybe just some kind of red clay that's going into the water.
Right.
So the people that lived around there were, called the red streak running into the water, like that. So that came out like that. But then what really fascinated me as going through all of this is I was talking with this Maori lady, the one from New Zealand, the people from New Zealand.
Right.
She tells me, okay, there's this demigod that was called Tane, also, I guess, down that way, that had gone fishing, and he brought up this lady that was covered in white shell from way at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. And for her to go back down in there to not to be living up here, she made a place for that guy and all the family, the offsprings and all of that, made it from a fish. Those islands, New Zealand, is actually a big fish, was what she told me. And I was interested. So where is this white-shelled woman? Well, how to do this? What's her name and all of this? The thing about it is, she described our white-shell woman on this side, covered in white shells, everything. And I was like, wow. You see, I said we're all connected in some way. So I started talking, and I'm, wanting to go down to, it really fascinated me. So I'm thinking going down to Australia and New Zealand, talk to with them historians down that way. All that, if they want some songs, hell, I'm going to bring some songs too. Do all of that.
As long as you're down there, you can do some squatching too, because they got the Yowies in Australia.
Yeah.
Morpho Man over in New Zealand.
That's what I was talking about the last time. Running out there or taking me out in the bushes, and it'll be like, oh, who's this guy? All these animals that are around me, like, who's this guy?
Yeah, he doesn't look like the regular house. Who's this guy?
Yeah, regular house team, just an ordinary one. So.
Yeah, I hear they got a dogman issue over in New Zealand, so be careful when you're camping there.
Yeah, their legend of the person that ate men. Yeah, so that's what fascinated me, and all of that, and so all of those put together.
Yeah. Well, what I find interesting is what you were just talking about with coming up from underground. First of all, real interesting, and then secondly, the water monster flooding everything. It sounds like a flood of biblical proportion. Yeah. Yeah, that's like maybe this is the Great Flood, basically.
That might have been the Great Flood. All of that, and then that's what we survive within the 4 sacred mountains. That's the whole idea, and that's how we got here. Is what that's what the meaning is, and we found more ancient people. And that's what, like I said, all of this used to be relayed to me by my grandpa, which he didn't speak no English, nothing like that. And then he's all, proud to say that he got a name, he got a name from overseas. The people call him, Douglas. He was proud of that. Douglas Chi Crosby, he would say. I have a name from overseas that people, over here, I'm just called running with anger or something like that. But I have a great name. And I asked my dad of what my grandpa was talking about, and then he says, well, there was like a friar or one of those Catholic people that used to live in the nearby town called Chin Lee. And when we used to visit, when we used to go to school over there, when he would take us to school, then they didn't know him, so they gave him a name, and this one friar was the one that gave him the Crosby last name. And I was like, oh, But I was never called Crosby, though.
Yeah, or you would have turned out to be a crooner or something. Thank goodness that didn't happen.
I would have been half Navajo or something like that.
You'd have beaten your neighbors with a big bag of Valencia oranges or something. Boop, 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 boop.
So then, that's those things, come to, come about like that. But pertaining all of this, with the knowledge from the background and all of this, here and there, Hosteen does come up, the subject of Hosteen. I haven't gone through a lot of the other ceremonies to say that, or how they speak about it, or how they talk about it. And this is just a brief what do you call it? Brief introduction to the Hosteen. And I only say hustine because a lot of people have a problem with hustine. I bet you only a Japanese and a German will say that. Like that. But the regular the regular man will probably just say, "Oh, the hell with it," you know. So that's why I just call it the hustine. It's like that, you know. It's from all that background, you know. I look at it like that, you know. There's other people around here or, you know, abroad that, you know, will say that, you know, they found certain things or certain attitudes or whatever you call it that these hustines have. Some of them are, you know, they do the same things over here.
Yeah. And
then we all found out that they're all different, and it's like that. So they were here too before us.
Right. Yeah, that seems to be a common legend with all the natives, that the Bigfoot was basically here before they showed up.
Yeah. And going into the, you know, the language, like I was saying, the language, you know, we that's what we do too. We have them like in our things too. You know, our ceremonies. Mm-hmm. We don't dress up like them, but maybe we do, but we do it more maybe with our you know, our own artistic way.
Right.
But the sound
it's more symbolic. You're not wearing a monkey's art us monkey suit. You got a more symbolic version of it that you guys dress up in. Yeah.
So, you know, we have, you know, words like if I was to say "woo," then they would tell me, "Hey, don't say that. You know, that's the call of the Yeti." The Yeti, on the other hand, is you know, deities of spirits of good fortune. You know, they're all, you know, they're looked at as, you know, to heal, and then that's it in a positive way. So, you know, anything that's called Yeti is just like saying Yi, ya, you know, mysterious.
Yeah, so you're scaring me. Quit talking about that.
That's called Yeti, you know, like that. So those are, you know, purities. You know, it's just good signs of them. They would tell me that when I say "woo," and then I go to Brian Sullivan and I say "woo," and he says, "What you hooping about?" You know.
So you calling a Bigfoot outside the window again? What are you doing?
So it's like that. And then if I was to say, I would be trying to, you know, get like cougars or bears or something away from me. If I was to say, you know, like that and say it like that, real loud like that, just for no reason, then, you know, that's how it would be. The animals will be the ones to, you know, comprehend all of that. You know, maybe there's a, you know, real small hustine walking on that side, all naked. So that might be it, but it would deter them from coming forward also.
Right.
But also the reason why I have always have said that the whooping sound is a locator is that, you know, I do that for you know, it's just like a part of me. It's just part of when you kind of get lost or you want to get a hold of somebody that you were in the forest with or on the bushes with that you can't see or anything. All you let out is a whoop, you know, whoop, yeah. And then they would just respond back like that, and then come on over. That's where, you know, we locate one another like that.
Right.
And then that's you know, with that, then that's how I know, you know, these hustines, when the whoop comes around. It's a startling thing also, like to say, "Hey, somebody's here," you know, like that too.
Yeah. No, I have different calls. Me and my brother actually used to do when we were out in the woods and got separated from each other. We do this, and it sounded, again, it was kind of hilarious because it almost sounded like a Bigfoot call. We didn't know it at the time. but we wouldn't whoop to each other. We actually had like a howl that we do that didn't sound like anything else, so it was pretty obvious who was doing it.
Yeah. It is pretty obvious, from the animal. Even when I do it, when my dogs are like running around out there in the bushes and I can't locate them, that's what I put up, a whoop also. Then I start walking, and sure enough, if I say it the second time, they locate me. Then they come up right behind me.
When they figure out where you're at. Yeah, and I think you're dead on to that. I think that is exactly what Bigfoot is doing when they're whooping like that. They're just trying to figure out, so-and-so's over on that part of the valley somewhere. Where is he? Whoop. And then they whoop back. Okay, you're over there.
Yeah. And then if you, sometimes before I go into the forest, I just let out a whoop just to go into the forest, just to say, just to have my presence known that I'm there. That way I don't walk into a hustine and pee on them or something like that. They'll know that I'm going through there. And they'll be looking at me.
Yeah.
They'll be looking at me. And then if I was near and one of them maybe have been sleeping and I let out a whoop, they'll wake up. The same thing we do. Wake up and they start thinking, who's that? So that's another way. Yeah, there's man around, or that's the reason why you hear all that Mack truck going through the trees. So so things like that. It's a locator thingy that they do, and with all of that. And the way that the samurai chatter people talk about, I've heard it just a few times, but the ones that have conversated near me over through my 3-inch wall of the mobile home is like there's a lot of ends,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how I noticed that they talk to one another. They would say, like that. So with that, I started to find out how they talk also. So
interesting.
Very different. Very, very different.
Yeah, it seems like, Kevin even mentioned that too, because he had taught Glag a bunch of words in English. And whenever Glag would get too excited, he'd start talking so fast that Kevin couldn't understand what the hell he was saying. And I think that's what their language is like. They just speak it so fast, even if we understood what words they were throwing out and stuff, we'd probably still have trouble following it because they speak so fast.
Yeah. That's what I hear. And I just I know who's having a conversation outside the wall. But they like to play with the air conditioner fins, the ones that are like side mounted. Wow, there's like 2 fires going now on the North Mountain.
Ooh, bad. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Well, listen, dude, really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and tell us all this fascinating stuff. And, man, really appreciate it. This was some really cool stuff. And thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know you're actually in the middle of doing home construction today, and I managed to tear you away from that for a little while to do another show.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to do that and bring everybody up to speed on the Navajo folklore surrounding Bigfoot and giants, because it's really fascinating, and you guys have a long tradition.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very much appreciated, brother. Well, with that, I guess we're going to let Caveman get back to pounding nails and wiring electrical, and I'm going to get back to the projects that I have to do here. And meanwhile, all you folks, if you haven't figured out where I went to, I'm on MeWe, capital M, small e, capital W, small e. Not on Facebook anymore. World Bigfoot Central is on MeWe. Crypto Crew is on MeWe. Brand new group, Wisconsin Bigfoot, is on MeWe. There's other groups that are going to be Sasquatch Chronicles on MeWe. So come on over to MeWe and join the Bigfoot Exodus from Fascist book. We're looking forward to seeing you guys there. A lot of people who showed up already, and everybody's enjoying it. It's a great platform. And meanwhile, all you folks out there, be kind to each other. Enjoy your summer. Make sure to always pay it forward. Safety first, last, and always. And whatever you do, God help you, please do not hug the Wookiee. See you later, folks.